Morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here on this Tuesday, the 2nd of April, 2024. Let's get in there and let's take a look at what's happening in the news. Now, if you look down through these news articles, see, here's an article by Al Jazeera, another one by Al Jazeera, another one here by Al Jazeera, another one here by Al Jazeera. If you go down, it's a lot of Al Jazeera stories on here. Another one here by Al Jazeera. Let's take a look at this right here. Israel clears the way to shutter or stop Al Jazeera, Netanyahu says. He says it's a quote-unquote, in parentheses, a terror channel, and it airs incitement. From Jerusalem, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday vowed to shut down Al Jazeera's operations in Israel, calling it a terror channel that spreads incitement after Parliament passed a law clearing the way for the closure. Netanyahu's pledge escalates Israel's long-running feud against Al Jazeera, but also threatened to heighten tensions with Qatar, which owns the channel, at a time when the Doha government is playing a key role in mediation efforts. I might not have pronounced that correctly. D-O-H-A. Doha, I guess. Mediate efforts in the war in Gaza. Neither Qatar nor the broadcaster immediately commented. So we got that going on. Now this is big. This is really big, and could be part of what's affecting the price of gold. Gold acts as a barometer, guys. You do not want to see the kind of world that we're in when gold hits $10,000. Seriously, bad. Because gold's a barometer of world tensions. And what have we seen over the last few days is a meteoric rise up in the gold price that we haven't seen in years. Starting, but I think an awful lot of that's tied in what the situation's happening in the world right now. And this is huge right here, this Israeli strike that killed top commanders. Supreme National Security Council met to decide on action after a strike on Damascus consulate that killed IRGC commanders. This is the Iranian Supreme National Security Council has decided on a required response to the Israeli strike on Damascus on Monday night that killed 3 top commanders in Iran's in their force, and 4 other officers, state TV has reported. Look at the rubble. Must have been missiles or something. Hit that building, and there's people inside, and the Iranians. And this could be decisive. This is kind of like, we're right at that stage, and I'm watching for situations to occur that is going to crack open and get started World War III right now. It reminds me of the time, like reading in history and looking in history, it reminds me of the time just before World War II, just before we had Pearl Harbor. That's the period we're in right now, just before war cracks open. And we can see it all moving in that direction. Not only in the Middle East, but also in Ukraine as well, And if these tensions break out in these 2 other spots, then the likelihood increases of something happening like in the South China Sea or in around Taiwan or something like that, We're right in that early stage right now. And yeah, it can have a huge effect upon the gold price. Mass layoffs are beginning in California. The fast food chains, $20 minimum wage law takes effect. And I guess they're laying people off like crazy. Because they can't afford to pay somebody who's flipping hamburgers $20 an hour, I guess, you know, or they're going to have to raise. Oh, they already got the price of the hamburgers. Like it says right here, $18 Big Mac. This has led to higher menu prices, it says, like an $18 Big Mac. And then you know what happens then? You get an $18 Big Mac, people come in and they get sticker shock and they walk right out the door. Say, well, I'll make Big Macs at home. The kiddies want to go for Big Macs. And, you know, the guy adds it up in his head and says, oh, we'll stop at the grocery store on the way home. We'll get some hamburger buns and I'll make you a Big Mac, he says. You know, I can make them for less than $5 a piece. And I ain't paying $18. So then they even need less employees. So this is something that can just... This is just the beginning of what we're going to see. Talk about layoffs. Now, we're going to see one heck of a hurricane season this year. There's something called El Nino. And it's going to fuel an explosive Atlantic hurricane season. So if you live anywhere on the east coast of the United States, all the way from Maine, all the way down to Florida, you're a target. If you live anywhere from Florida all the way over to Texas along on the Gulf Coast, borders on the Gulf of Mexico, you're a target. So this is an awful lot of people in the United States are a target. And these things can come 100 miles or more inland. So even if you're inland on these coastal regions, you're a target for these hurricanes. And now with the electrical infrastructure the way it is, you know, we get a large hurricane like Katrina, you might be looking at your power out for weeks. If it's a big enough one, you know. And they actually said that they are going to change, like for years now, if the hurricanes have only went up to Category 5, and then they stop. That's the strongest they get. Well, now they're talking about having a Category 6, having a new scale on the hurricanes, because the hurricanes are getting this much impressively stronger. And you know, suddenly when a hurricane goes over those wind speeds of a Category 5 to a Category 6, the devastation each time they move up a category is 10 times what the category was that preceded it. So like a Hurricane 3, when it moves to a 4, it's 10 times stronger. It's damaging things. And when it moves to a 5, it's 10 times stronger again at damaging things. And when it moves to a 6, which we haven't seen yet, but I think we're going to see. Wow. What that page was. Anyway. Now, you know, on my channel, I get a lot of people out there who say things like, they'll comment, you know, and I take it seriously. They say things like, the earth is flat. Or they'll say, there is no space. Look, this article here says 12 lies that you were told about space. So if we can't get up there to see what it is, I can't get up there to see what it is, you can't get up there to see what it is, and only a select few say that they've been up there to see what it is. And they're admitting now that they've told us 12 different lies about it. Right here on the mainstream media, they're telling us 12 lies you were told about space. Why am I going to ridicule people who come and say the earth is flat, or somebody who says the earth's this or that? Because maybe they're right. Who knows? If they're not going to be straight with us about these things. Now, I typically tend to think that the earth is round ball floating in space. I tend to think that. But how do I know for sure? Anyway, let's move on. And we're going to talk about silver today. Now, we see silver going up with gold. Silver always moves with gold. 25.48. It's up 43 cents on the day so far. But you know the markets are really falling out of bed. We're going to take a look at that in just a minute. wow, so there's a lot of volatility occurring in the markets right now, and this could be pre-war volatility. Well, you say, well, there's already a war. Yeah, but I'm talking about the war spilling into a much bigger theater than it is now, which it's been threatening to do for quite a little while now. It hasn't been backing off. It's been slowly growing behind the scenes. Kind of like that creeping kind of growth that you don't see. Kind of like what happens with Bitcoin. you know? Bitcoin can go into a bear market, and behind the scenes, it's got that creeping growth. And then when it comes back, it always roars back stronger. Taking a look at Bitcoin, just after we take a look at the gold price here. Gold is $22.68 today. It's up $17. We haven't seen a price like that in quite a little while. Well, we've never seen a price like that. It's up $17.30. Cryptocurrency today. Crypto's taking a little bust. It was like over about $70,000 just the other day, and now it's back down to 65,862 today for Bitcoin. Ethereum 3301, and XRP's at 58.5 cents. Now take a look at this, guys. Possibly the big story of the day. Dow just lost 411 points. It's down over 1%. 39,155. So equities are not having a good day here. Not at all. Taking a look now at crude oil. Crude oil is up over $1.06. So crude oil's up. 84.77. We're going to see that at the pump. When it starts to get these days where it goes $1 up, we're going to start really seeing this at the pump pretty soon here. If it keeps trending upwards toward $90. Of course, here in Canada, we already see it at the pump. If you could imagine, I drove by the station this morning, and it was $1.71 per liter. Now, you want to find the gallon price, you just do 4 times that. $1.71 times 4. And you get your gallon price, more or less. That's some price to pay for gasoline, I want to tell you. And so it behooves a person now to make sure that they have 4 cylinders in whatever vehicle they buy if you're here in Canada. A 6 is even better than an 8, So if you're out there hunting for a new vehicle or whatever, try to get a 4-cylinder. If you can't get a 4-cylinder, try to move down from if you got an 8-cylinder now, try to move down to a 6. As a general rule of thumb, 4 cylinders get better gas mileage than 8 cylinders, and 8 cylinders get worse gas mileage than 6 cylinders. As a general rule of thumb. Plus you're helping the environment. You don't need all that power. You don't need an 8-cylinder. A 4-cylinder will get you anywhere you want to go just as fast. And for a darn sight less fuel, which means less money out of your pocket. Look, I'm going to tell you what. You're only allowed to drive in the United States is 70 miles an hour. And here in Canada, I think it's a little bit faster than that. It's 110 kilometers an hour, which is, I think a little bit over 70. And that's it. You go any faster than that, you're going to get a ticket. Any 4-cylinder car out there, or vehicle out there, will get you that 70 miles an hour. And all the rest is just overkill. You just got more power than you need. And you're paying for that extra power. The thing about it is when you're going to pass somebody, on the road, it's nice to have that little bit extra kick to get by them quick. And if you're driving a 4-cylinder, you might want to give yourself a little bit more room when you're going to pass somebody. Be a little bit patient. Person's not quite going the speed limit, stay behind them just a little bit. If you got a 4-cylinder, wait for that nice long stretch to pass them. Don't try to, because you're not going to have that horsepower. But the other side of that coin, you're going to save a lot of money. Okay, bonds today. Bonds and rates. We're looking at the last couple days. It's been a slaughterhouse for these bonds, and when you take the cumulative effect on the long end of the yield curve for the last 2 days, you're looking at quite a quick increase in the bond yield. U.S. 10 years 4.36, and the U.S. 30 years at 4.5, and they're both up 3.4 basis points up for the 10 year and 3.7 basis points up on the 30 year. So you got to watch that long end, especially the 10 years, the most important of them all. And so those yields are climbing. That's the price set on money, or what they call money, which is actually just Federal Reserve notes. 104.77 on the dollar index. It's down a quarter today, and it is falling today, the dollar index. Thank you guys for listening to my show. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Have a great afternoon, guys. Bye-bye.